Hey everyone, it's Classic DM, and this video is going to be called Design Shop Talk. And what we're going to do today is go over what I consider to be some really important tips for you as a game master running your games for players who've never played, players who played other games, and players who are fantastic, great players who know the game inside and out. So no matter which gamut of players you're going to be running a game session for, these tips are going to help you. Now, if you're a player, there's nothing wrong with hanging out with us in the secret GM conversation in the design shop talk. We're over in the corner of the garage and we're talking about the game mastering, right? If you want to come hang out with us, you can do that. You're totally cool. You can do it because you might pick up some ideas that you'd like to tell your GM to do who hasn't watched the video. You can say, hey, I was watching this cool video and this guy said you should try doing this. Why don't you do that for us, darn you? So, those kind of tips may help you. So by the time you get done with this video, maybe 30 minutes at most, I hope you got a bunch of really cool, useful tips you can do to increase your game or prompt your own game master to make your game better. The very first thing I want to start off right off the bat is there's so many hundreds, literally hundreds of thousands of adventures and dungeons and modules. And these things always have a story, right? They always have a theme, they have a location, all these kinds of things are there for you. But is it really about the players? A lot of times, people who write, and I know this myself, we design video games or whatever we're doing, we have a tendency to create a story that we want to tell others, not involve others. So you're writing a book, you want someone to read the book and be immersed in the book and be carried away to another universe, whether it's Dragonlance or Dristwarden or I don't know, the Fountainhead, anything else, the Pearl, Just Steinbeck, whatever it is. You do the same thing with a film. It's a spectator experience. Someone's reading it, and the ideas crystallize in their minds. They go, that's interesting. That character did this. I feel like I have a bond to that character. But when you're playing a tabletop role-playing game, the characters are right there. The story is unfolding in real time. Who knows what's going to happen? It's a different medium, I guess you could say. So if the people sitting at the table aren't part of the story, they're just spectators on a Disney ride. Don't do that. You can have things that kick things off that way with traditional narrative elements. Like, we've got to rescue this guy's kid. He's been captured. That's a good starting spot. But along the way, create drama that's going to pull the players in. Is one of the players in the party got something that connects to the storyline? Is there something the party really wants to do? Does the party think that someone's lying to them and now it feels like the party's being betrayed? Like, don't make it just so superficial and two-dimensional. It's like, go here and do this and we'll give you a reward. It's a quest in World of Warcraft. Try not to do that. Put elements in there that feel dramatic. Thriller movies, murder mystery movies, dramatic series that have the same characters on screen for long periods of time. All kinds of things happen with the same exact characters all the time. So pull from those kinds of references and think of ways to make sure the story and the theme engages and ropes in and hooks and digs their nails into your players. And one way you can do this is plant seeds. Not necessarily red herrings, which are things that never accumulate to anything of merit at all. They're just fakery that make you wish that this was involved or makes you wish this actually happened. You would like to plant seeds that are like, it seems like the idea is that someone's doing an adventure and it seems like the person's not being truthful with you, and along the way you start finding a number of clues that point to something more diabolical, and that what you're being asked to do now has a moral choice. You're like, do we really help this guy or do we use the power against him? So that's when the players are engaged, because if they're just going along and doing the checklist, it's no different than going to the grocery store and filling out your shopping list. You don't want that to happen. You want the seeds to make the players think about whether this is really what they want it to be. Now, if your players aren't those kind of guys or girls, what you can do as a GM is you can throw in lots of betrayal along the way, and the tides are turned and things turn differently. That's like, whoa, we got to react to this. We thought we were doing the shopping list, and now suddenly we're in prison. So those kinds of things are really interesting. So plant seeds. Another thing that's really important is make sure that the adventure that you're running is going to be interesting to the players, not just to you. So you may love the crazy aquatic adventure where the ship is at sea and it's a full moon and all these zombies are coming out of the ocean, like this awesome picture here. In your mind, you love it. You want to be Pirates of the Caribbean meets The Last Babylon, right? Your players may be like, I just got done playing Divinity Original Sin. I'm about sick to death of being on a boat. I mean, what is it they want to do? Make sure if you think running the Desert of Desolation series or something on the Golden Road or whatever, the Mummy's Mask, is cool to you, is it cool to them? So, because the only reason you're doing this stuff is making sure you're creating something that's cool and exciting to them. It's hard to get yourself out of that picture. When you're an architect, you're designing building, the building is for someone else. When you're a video game designer, you're designing video games, the video games are for someone else. They're not for you. Sure, you have to kind of have this director type of sensibilities, like what's going to be cool to the hardcore player, what's going to be cool to the casual player, what's going to be cool to the players who play together as roommates all the time, or the husband and wife team that play, or the young kid that just wants to learn how to play, hasn't done it yet. We have to think about those kinds of things. You need to do that too as a game master. Make sure the things that you run for your party, they're actually interested in it thematically. Now, the players may say, yeah, sure, I'll play the Mummy Mask with you, or yeah, that sounds good. I'll do the Fall Plague. So I know it's the only thing out there right now besides a demo. I'll go play it, sure. I don't really know, but they may come to the table kind of half-heartedly invested, but they want to play. Like, they want to play. So a good way to get them roped in is to enable their power fantasy. It doesn't mean give them tons of magic items, but look at their character sheet, understand the personality of the player. If you play with them before, think about this person really, really, really loves swords. This person loves swords. They love getting really unique special magic items that have strange abilities that aren't in any of the rule books. That's what turns them on. The sword of cast taken to 11, right? Is there power fantasy about what they look like? Is there power fantasy how they dominate and control other NPCs and get information from them? Is there power fantasy the person that makes sure everything's safe for the rest of the party? Do they want to be the hero in the front line, knocking things down and doing attacks of opportunity? Find out what their power fantasy is. Since you control the enemies, you can make the enemies react and move around in a way, like we did in the Crisis games, to empower the player's power fantasy. Because you as a game master, you have absolute control over the enemy's tactics. Think of it like chess. Your friends are playing the white pieces, you're playing the black pieces. You want the players to win, but you want it to be challenging. You're going to do things to take pieces from them, right? Put them in a situation of they're almost in check. Put them under pressure. Don't necessarily try to flat out kill them. If they do something dumb, they're going to lose, right? Allow them to lose. There's nothing wrong with that. But along the way, adjust that tone, that rhythm, that speed, that difficulty, the AI to amplify the player's power fantasy. Then what the player will do is, as he achieves things or she achieves things and does things the way they like to do it, they're going to feel like my actions were rewarding for me in a direct manner. And this is one thing about being a game master that's very difficult to do, because some people think it's cheating. But there's elements of the way the games are played where you are directing the action of the enemies, you are directing the way the story goes, you're directing how the NPCs talk back to the players, you're giving descriptions of environments. You can change those descriptions of the environments. Here's a quick example. Hidden Shrine of Timoshan, poison gas, got rid of it. Okay, it's a tournament module. I don't want poison gas. I don't want people fixating on the freaking poison gas. I don't want them choking to death in one of the hallways. I don't want them to have to run back outside and go camp all the time because they're afraid they got to neutralize poison. Like, forget it. I just got rid of it because it wasn't interesting to those players. Those players were interested in Mayan ruins and archaeology. They weren't interested in trying not to die to poison gas. Do those kinds of things if you need to. Add spice in there that enables the player's power fantasy. In that situation, the power fantasy for my player was discover ancient mysteries, not survive poison gas and live to tell the tale. All right, let's move on from there. So another thing you need to do is understand that player style. We touched on that just a moment there, but some players are gung-ho, butt-kicking MMA fighter like this monk, kicking people in the face, knocking them off the pier. Some people like having their pet, walloping the crap out of people, running forward, charging in a battle. They just see themselves in a cover of a fantasy novel. That is their dream, right? Or they're very careful. They don't want to die. They got killed in a previous adventure. They're very safe. They're going to kind of wait and see what happens and figure out how they can kind of sort of step into the fray and help a little bit. Or they're a rules lawyer waiting for you to say the wrong thing about a check so they can challenge you on it. Each player's, these are play styles, right? Some people enjoy coming to the table trying to exercise and challenge their level of knowledge about the rules. A lot of people treat those kind of people bad. Find ways to engage them in encounters where their knowledge of the rules benefits the whole group. Say, hey, we're thinking about doing this one thing. Do you think we should run it this way or that way? What do you think? You know a lot about the rules. Have them tell the group what the rules should be. Then let the mechanic play out, because you as the game master, they're not taking control of your game that way. You're catering to their personality. So this is where the guide personality dynamics comes in. When you have people sitting at the table playing with you face to face, and even if you're playing over the web to some degree when people aren't picking their nose and drinking a beer and smoking cigarettes, right? You're trying to guide the personality dynamics. You want that person's hopes and dreams to come alive. You want to guide them into a compartment that's going to fit just for them so they can shine. Because if they're shining, they're having fun. And you need to be able to identify things where this person's not shining, and you need to shift the action to pull them in. Watch the first episode of the Knights of Everflame, okay? watch how the action takes place, how the one girl's very overacting and very excited, and one side of the table is very excited, and this other side of the table is kind of not really engaged too much. And that's a situation that's very difficult. You know, Jason's trying to run the whole show. He's trying to mitigate everything. He's not at the luxury of doing it behind closed doors like he went normally. Normally, what he probably would have done is he's got to get this one character that's in the background casting telekinetic rock or whatever it is, isn't really wrapped up in the first battle against the earth elemental or whatever the devil the creature was they're fighting. You know, so when you're game mastering, you've got characters that kind of want to find an exit from the scenario because they don't really feel like they're contributing much. You got to find ways to put them under pressure and prompt their player actions. And we do this in video games all the time with artificial intelligence. We do things like prompt players to run who like to circle strafe. We do things like shoot guys and damage them tremendously and put lots of splash damage on them when they feel like they're wounded and want to get in cover. We push players back, we let them come forward. We push players back, we let them come forward. At the end of the whole tug of war, the player wins. And that's what fun is really, really all about. Another thing I want to do is this inadvertent camaraderie. As a game master, you want everyone at the table to have a lot of fun. So one thing you need to do is find a way for all those individual personality dynamics that you're catering to, okay, to also click together like a chemical equation. You want there to be a balanced chemical equation of human beings at your table that like this, that like how the rules lawyer and the shy person that's overprotectionist and the frontline charging guy who almost dies all the time and the caster just wants to single nuke one thing to oblivion, and the one player who's complaining every time someone does this, wait, don't do that, do this. All those characters have got to turn into the Fellowship of the Ring to some degree. What you want to have happen is an inadvertent camaraderie. You're going to have to find a way to mitigate or gloss over moments of tension and friction, right? But not ignore it, but try to glue that back together into a positive direction. It's like a management situation. When you've got a couple employees that are working together and one employee doesn't really like the other person because of what they dress or how they talk or how they act, but you all got a job to do at your place of employment. You've got to find a way to get the employees to work together. You don't necessarily need to separate them. If you're playing Pathfinder, you're not going to separate anyone. Everyone needs to be together. So you need to find ways. I mean, this is a management thing. Find ways to empower those individuals to inadvertently build camaraderie by allowing them to work within their individual successful silos and find ways where their weaknesses, the other person can fill in the gap. Like the rules lawyer and the shy person have a situation where the shy person doesn't know what to do, is staying back in the back and just waiting to cast heals. Have the rules that say, do you think it'd be a good idea for her to cast this spell now, or do you think she should bless first? When's a good time to do bless? And then the rules lawyer will go, oh, you should always cast bless before the fight because it does this, that, and the other, and I know everything, right? And then the person that doesn't know about bless goes, that's an interesting idea. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to wait till the first fight happens and see how this crazy frontline rushing Leroy Jenkins dude in my party charges forward and gets damaged first. Then I'll cast bless because I just want to hit the people in the back that didn't run forward, right? So this is a thing about management also in a game. You need to be accommodating. You have to kind of be this calm, positive force that's not irritated by how people act. You can't be irritated what people's actions are. You can't pull any sneering facial expressions. You can't say something flat out derogatory. You can't reprimand someone. You can say, well, you could do that. You know, you have to make sure the tone of your voice is upbeat and positive. It's really exhausting to do. It's like giving a TED talk for 4 hours, okay? So you need to be accommodating to people because your job is to entertain these players at your table. Your job is to make this a fun adventure for them. When you get good at doing that, it's very rewarding for yourself because then you know people, hey, I want to run this adventure. Will you please run it for us because we love how you run it. That's a nice compliment, right? So you need to be accommodating to everyone's quirks, okay? I see a lot of postings sometimes on Facebook. I've got this guy in my game and he does this. Look at that as a challenge. Can you be accommodating this person? Is this person ruining the chemical balance that we talked about previously? If you can't, hey, some things can't be fixed. You can't fix stupid. You know, ain't got no gas in it, as Sling Blade would say. So if you can foster a collaborative environment, the Game Master is always looked to be the all-knowledgeable power of Oz that should know everything about all the rules and how everything works. And you don't, that's not really true. Jason's probably the only guy on the planet that knows how to do that, right? None of us know how to do it that well. Unless some of you guys are super badasses, you can put a comment and say, yes, I'm a super badass, right? Now, most of us don't do that. Most of us have to play to our personal strengths. Pull the players at your table in to help you figure out things you're not sure about. This is something I mentioned in one of my other videos, like a collaborative ruling system. Make sure that the relationship between the game master and the players is not always hidden behind a screen. Get up from around the screen, go sit on the other side, take a look at the character, say, oh, cool, so you got this feat because you're a human and you pick this up and now you have this extra skill. Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that about. Does anyone else have that same one? Like turn those people to the player and ask them, yeah, I've got this too because I took this background. Like I didn't like that. I took this instead. And then you just for a few minutes there, you've engaged everyone in a normal human being conversation, not falsely, not in a manipulating way, to get people to work together by realizing this is a human experience. So collaborative energy is important. If you just sit hidden behind your game master screen, okay, what do you guys want to do? I mean, that a robot could do that. You know, there's no, you could get a robot to do that for you. An IRC bot could handle that for you, if you know what I mean. Let's go on. So this is another thing about tips. There's a difference between drama and acting. Most people aren't actors. People that are actors are making a living being an actor. Now, the problem is there's a lot of fun entertainment and video series that are hugely popular, especially with the younger generation, that have a lot of voice actors and actors playing D&D or playing Pathfinder. There's nothing wrong with that. Do not expect that behavior at your table because it'll turn some people off. Some old school people will be totally turned off by that. Some people, from time to time, a little funny voice is kind of cool. You know, the guard at the gate says, listen, you two, you're going to have to get out of here. You know, you can do that kind of stuff if it's funny. If you think you're great at doing Eddie Murphy impressions, knock yourself out. But you can always just say, the guard at the gate, he doesn't really seem like he's very impressed with you. In fact, he kind of would like for you guys to move on. He has this kind of thick Scottish accent. You could just say that. You don't have to actually act out the Braveheart character. So the more you try to act out the game session, the more the game session will start taking on a tone of how good is your acting. So if your acting is not very good, you're not a professional actor like the people in these shows, these streams, and these geek and sundry things, yes, the game sessions are eventually going to get kind of tiresome. And I think what you really want to have happen is it about acting or is it about the adventure crystallizing in the minds of the players? So there's two different situations. Playing at the table, no one's watching. Watching something on TV, watching something streamed on the web, everyone's watching. There's a difference between entertaining the unseen crowd and entertaining people sitting directly in front of you. Keep that in mind. There's a difference between drama that crystallizes in the player's mind and acting to entertain others you don't see. So another element we want to do is think about actions that are exciting. Every time you look at one of these concept pieces, all the ones in this presentation today are done by Sedwin Lee or Sedwin Lai, however you pronounce his name. They're all taken from Pathfinder products. The pictures always show this. Get ideas from some of the concept art. You know, I mean, you have elements and moments where they're showing all the signature characters doing amazing dramatic things. You want your characters to be engaged in amazing dramatic things. You as a game master have control over the stat block. Look at the stat block. You can take almost any single enemy in the bestiary and change the stat block and use the same picture to make it entertaining for a younger group of players or a new group of players. They feel like, holy crap, we killed an ancient gold dragon. Now, 4 years later, if they go to freaking Gen Con or something like that and they sit down at a table with a bunch of pros and they tell the story about how they killed an ancient bronze dragon, everyone's going to kind of cock their eye. I'm sure you did. You guys are level 7. You know, they'll discover that later in life. But when they're first learning the game, there's nothing wrong with them feeling like they went to the 7th plane of the abyss and fought Demigorgon. There's nothing wrong with that. You can create some new demon and rename it. Something like that if you want to. So you want to have actions that excite. Whacking kobolds and killing orcs and, you know, leg humping ogres gets old after a while. You want something that has mystery, drama, intrigue, and it's not always about defending the village that's being burned to the ground. It can be things like you're being chased and attacked by a bunch of Githyanki who think you have a silver sword that was stolen by the queen, and they're going to murder and kill every single one of you. They've already captured your cleric and eviscerated her. I mean, you can do things like that. Find a way to get the cleric resurrected, go back. Now she has haunting nightmares. She keeps seeing the silver sword in her dreams every time she has a nightmare. Maybe you think to yourself, maybe we should get the silver sword for ourselves. These Githyanki keep chasing you and coming after you. Then you bump into some, you know, ancient Githzerai on his deathbed and talk to him and he tells you what's really going on. I mean, you want to have stories that excite the players and make them feel like we're going to change the course of the story because we're going to make decisions. And by that, less you, more them. Being a great game master is enabling and empowering all the players at the table to have fun for them. You're going to have fun if you're doing that well. Okay? It's like being a basketball coach or a football coach, right? If you're Bobby Bowden from the Florida State Seminoles, an awesome football coach for all football, college football history, he's not on the field throwing the freaking football. Okay? He did that when he was younger. He's a great coach. You as a game master are a great college football coach. That's the only analogy I can kind of think of that really directs. You're a great film director. You directed these, you build a reputation, whether you're, I'm not going to name much a film director, no matter who you are, you're a great film director because you're associated with these fantastic films that had the right writers and the best actors and the best actresses in it, the best soundtrack, and et cetera, et cetera. That's what being a game master is. You are a director, a choreographer, a writer, a designer, a football coach, all mixed into one. You're also kind of a psychologist and a management leadership person in your office environment. So in those situations, put yourself selflessly, all right, and think of your players first, not you. And that means you're going to need to adjust and adapt. And I hate to say it, you got to put work into it. You're going to have to invest time and energy when they're not around to make sure you figured out things ahead of time so things are going to be lots and lots of fun for your players. If you aren't willing to invest the additional time it takes to make sure the next game session is absolutely awesome and really cool and adapting to players' personalities and adapting to power fantasies and adapting to individual conflicts, you are not mitigating the situation successfully. Sure, you're probably still playing. Your group gets together every Thursday night, and but that's fine. You can kind of muddle through it. Everyone's kind of happy playing the game. It doesn't have to be the most dramatic thing in the whole planet. But if you really, really, really want to be the best game master possible, you're going to need to invest your personal time into it. We're almost done here. So at the end of the day, what do you got? Heroic moments, exotic locations with friends, right? You want people to have memories. Who doesn't remember the cave troll scene in the Lord of the Rings film? Everything else in between, like Aragorn and some skeletal knights, and Frodo got stabbed and he cried a lot, and the girl, like the Aerosmith daughter girl, like made the waves to look like horses, and all those other scenes, they're kind of cool, but they're easily forgotten. The cave troll taking the spear and slamming it in Frodo's chest with his little mithril shirt, and everyone's reaction, that's a memory. You want your game sessions to always have 2 to 3 incredible memories, and that really revolves around your creativity. If you can come up with absolutely interesting and exciting creative sequences where they have a hard-earned victory, like the cave troll scene in the Lord of the Rings film in The Fellowship of the Ring, you're going to be in a situation where they want more of this. And you're going to get better and better at better. It's like writing novels. You write your first book, it's okay. Second book's better, et cetera, et cetera. You write a research paper for college, the first one sucks, your MLA citations are terrible. Then you get more feedback, and we get better. Everything in life is this way. Whether you're shooting free throws or MMA fighter, you're a delivery guy delivering Coca-Colas, everything we do every single day, we're better than we were the day before. So you need to have growth. Remember that as a game master, you're going to grow, and your players are going to grow. And this relationship between the two of you, as silly and philosophical as it sounds, is a transformation. That transformation is what builds these heroic moments with exotic locations with your friends. And when you have a really great group, unless someone has to move away or gets deployed to Afghanistan or something else pulls you all apart, you have some people have played together for 20, 30 years. And at the end of the day, those are the kinds of things you want to have. You've lived your life. You worked hard. You played hard. And in between, you changed the world in a fantasy world playing Pathfinder or Dungeons & Dragons or whatever it was. And all these little tips you remember in the back of your head and say, you know what, that classic DM guy, he knows a lot about this stuff, right? Because to me, it's all about the magic of adventure. And so I hope these tips have been helpful for you. I'm going to consider this kind of like a design shop talk session, right? Like I'm not the world's greatest game master, but I think these tips may help you if you haven't thought about them. And you know what? And if you've got some ideas too, I'd love to see you put some comments to the bottom. Say, you know what? Me and my friends play for a long time. And one thing I found that really, really works really well when we got a rules lawyer is to do this. How do you deal with the shy player? How do you deal with Leroy Jenkins? How do you deal with the little kid that doesn't know what to do, that just wants to swing a sword all the time? How you deal with the little narky person that's playing with their phone all the time, doesn't really feel engaged? Like, what are your tips to deal with these things? Do you just give up on these people? Or do you actually invest the time and energy to form a camaraderie bond between your players at the table so your adventures can last forever? We'll talk to you later. This is Classic DM. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. You know the drill. We'll talk to you later. Take care. See ya.